Alright, let's have a closer look at the CCI Stinger Hypervelocity 22 long rifle loading. As you can see on the box, it says copper plated hollow point, 1640 feet per second, and a lightweight 32 grain bullet. And CCI recommends this for use on varmints. Because of its destructive nature, you don't want to be using this on rabbits or anything like that you plan on eating, because it does too much damage. This is one of the earliest high-speed hypervelocity loadings that was on the market. It's been out there on the market for quite a few years, so there's nothing new about this. It's tried and true. You can see that it's in the 50 round plastic box with the slip top, which makes it quite convenient for carrying in the field, keeps your ammunition clean, keeps it protected. There you can see the hollow point. And as the box mentions, it's a copper plated bullet. And these are a unique round. We'll go into that a little further. There's one warning on the box, which is interesting compared to the usual warnings. They give you the usual range limitations or warnings, I guess. But at the buried down in here, it says use only in firearms having standard ANSI sporting barrel chamber dimensions. And that is important because if you have a match type barrel, this ammunition is probably not suitable for use in that type of match barrel. So this is for use in sporting chambered guns only. In addition to that warning, there are some manufacturers who do not recommend the use of this ammunition in their semi-automatic firearms. I believe Ruger does not recommend this Stinger ammunition for use in their 10-22 rifle. Because of the extra energy, apparently there's the belief that the ammunition, extensive use of this ammunition will cause premature wear on the mechanism of the gun. So read your manual and see if there's anything in your manual for your firearm that says whether you should or shouldn't use this particular type of ammunition before you proceed with it any further. A couple of interesting things with the CCI ammunition, with this Stinger ammunition. The first thing is, I've got a round that I pulled apart here, and here's the cartridge case. Now, these are longer than a standard 22 long rifle. I'll just take the calipers here and we'll do a quick measurement. But they are substantially longer than a standard 22 long rifle. So this is .70, it's about .703, we'll call it, or 4 in between the two. And that's pretty long compared to a standard 22 long rifle. I'll just grab a standard 22 long rifle case. And I'll show you the difference between those. Here's a fired 22 long rifle. This is a Winchester, probably from a bulk pack. And if we measure it, you can see that it's only .610. So there's quite a difference between the two cartridge cases in length. So that's one of the reasons why they tell you to only use the Stinger ammunition in a standard chamber. The reason being, with a match chamber, the origin of the lead or the rifling can be back significantly further than it would be on a sporting chamber. And in that case, the actual cartridge case of the Stinger may be getting jammed into the rifling as opposed to being in a chamber, just a straight-sided chamber. So that's one of the reasons why they recommend it for use in only standard chambers. Alright, so we've seen the cartridge case, and as you can tell, these are nickel plated, which is good. They're a little slicker that way, but the important thing is they are not prone to corrosion. Unlike a standard brass case, which can, if it's left in a damp place or in contact, especially with leather, brass cases will corrode quite easily. So the Stinger having the plated case is an advantage for that. Another thing of interest, quite a lot of priming compound compared to, I've noticed this with a lot of CCI loads. If you can see down in the cartridge case, you can see there's the green primer. And CCI tends to have quite a large amount of primer mixture in their cartridges compared to some of the other brands. And that is probably a good thing, because they're very reliable. A lot of the other companies put a very small amount in, and it doesn't always make its way all the way around the rim. And when it's not all the way around the rim, ignition is not as surefire. So CCI ammunition is probably the most reliable brand of common 22 rimfire ammunition you can get. And that big gob of priming mixture is probably part of the reason it's so reliable. So you've seen the cartridge case. Now we'll have a look at the bullet. And the bullet is, here's one from a pulled down round. And you can see it's the standard hollow based heel type profile, which is common to all 22 long rifle ammunition. And if we measure the heel portion here, you can see that it comes out at about 211. Now you may think, hey, this is a 22 caliber, that's too small. And in fact it is too small for the barrel at the heel before it's fired. However, on firing, this small diameter heel portion here will bump up to the barrel diameter because the lead is soft and because you've got that large hollow concave section on the base. But if we go back to the bearing portion of the bullet here and measure it, and it should come out to, so we got 2, 2, 3, right on the money. So that's where you should be with 22 rimfire ammunition. It will be 223 diameter. Center fire 22 calibers are generally 224. Fairly large hollow point in this case, which is good. That ensures rapid expansion. We've also got a round nose profile, which is excellent as well as far as feeding reliability in well, any repeater. Usually rounded edges ensure certain feeding as opposed to sharp edges or truncated cones, which can catch up on feed ramps and so forth. So that's good. So let's measure the weight of the bullet. CCI says it's supposed to be 32 grains. So we've got our scale here, and I have previously zeroed this scale, so it is good to go that way. So we'll see how far this comes up to where it's supposed to be. So there's 30. And that's 32 grains. It's just a touch, might be a touch over by 1/10 of a grain. We'll just check that again to make sure. So that comes out in this scale anyway to 32.1 grains. So that's pretty much right on the money for where it's supposed to be. Okay, let's measure the powder charge of the CCI Stinger. We've got the scale zeroed here again, and we'll add the powder charge, which has been previously removed from an unfired round. There you can see the amount of powder which was in one of these rounds. So we'll add that to the scale. Get it all in there. And now we'll have a look and see just how much powder that is. There's substantially more powder in these rounds than there is in most 22 standard type ammunition, and therefore one has to make the assumption that the powder is slower burning, since there is the same chamber pressure allowance for all standard type 22 long rifle ammunition. Any ammunition which meets the Sporting Arms and Ammunition Manufacturers Institute standards would have to meet the same maximum standard chamber pressure. So therefore the powder charge would have to be of a slower powder. And that's what gives these rounds their higher velocity. The slower burning powder pushes the bullet longer and therefore achieves higher velocity. Now, one of the things about these rounds with the extra large charge of powder is that they are really best in longer barrels. In order to get the velocity, you generally need a little more barrel. I believe to achieve the standard rated velocity they use a 24-inch barrel to get there. So keep that in mind. If you're shooting them in a handgun, you will get more velocity than you will with a standard type load, but you won't wring as much out of it as you would if you used a longer barrel. Alright, we've got the scale pretty well zeroed here, and it looks like the round has 2 point, well actually it's a little, I'll go down a tenth. 2.7 grains. So that's a pretty good dose of powder for a 22 long rifle. I'll pull apart a standard loading and we'll compare the amount of powder in a standard load, just a standard high velocity. So just a minute while I do that. By way of comparison, I've got some CCI Mini Mag. These are a 40 grain load, 1235 feet per second, and I pulled the bullet out of one of those to show you how much powder would be in that loading. And here's the charge here, and we'll pour it into our scale. You can see these have, once again, these have a lot of priming compound in them, just like the Stingers do. All right, so let's see. We would have So we've only got 1.6 grains of powder in the Mini Mags. So that's quite a difference in the charge weight between the Stinger and the CCI Mini Mag. Okay, the final thing I'd like to mention in regards to the CCI Stinger is their price point. These are not an inexpensive round as far as 22 long rifle ammunition goes. This box of 50 costs about the same locally as the box of 100 of these CCI Mini Mags do. And the CCI Mini Mags are not a super cheap load by any means. So they do cost a little more. They are a bit of a specialized thing, but if you have varmints to deal with, you probably won't mind if they do the job for you. So that's the end of my benchtop review of the CCI Stinger. Part 2 will be some accuracy and velocity tests in a variety of firearms, a variety of barrel lengths, and I hope to get around to that fairly soon. It mostly depends on whether the weather cooperates. I need to have at least reasonable weather to do some accuracy tests. So hopefully I get part 2 up in a reasonable amount of time, so thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.